All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're still watching Morning Cafe. Right about now, we want to talk about media freedom. And yesterday, young people once again took to the streets, of course, to mark the anniversary of the June 2024 Gen Z revolt. And just like last year, a troubling pattern seems to be repeating itself. Media censorship. This is not the first time, it's not the second time. We've seen this over and over again. And in a letter from the Communications Authority, media houses were directed to halt live coverage of the protests. 3 media stations, including NTV, KTN, and K24, were pulled off air. So what does this mean for media freedom in Kenya? Are we sliding backward on constitutional guarantees under Article 34 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010? In studio with me, I have Eric Odwor, Secretary General of the Kenya Union of Journalists, and of course, BAMBA is still in studio with us. BAMBA is a governance analyst. Thank you so much for joining me, gentlemen. But let me just start with you, Eric. What does this mean for media freedom in Kenya today? The censorship that we are seeing from the Communications Authority in this day and age, 2025, we're still talking about shutting media houses for, being the watchdog that you're supposed to be.
Thank you so much for hosting me. It means that, of course, I've always said that we expect push and pull between the media and the government. Mm-hmm. And exactly that's what we are seeing. So it's upon the media to resist this pushback from the government. Number 2, from the onset, I must also say that Communication Authority of Kenya has got no mandate whatsoever to do what they did yesterday. That's why they were quoting an old law, because I'm sure they must have read the Constitution, they must have read the existing laws, but they didn't get anything to launch on. So that's why they decided to quote the 1998 law, which has since been repealed. So as the media, we did give a directive yesterday as the media stakeholders to media houses to defy that order. And that's the reason why they defied the order, and the government had to go to the stations to switch off the signal, because the media said that the Communication Authority of Kenya has got no basis in law to take such action. So as the media, we will continue to push back against those overreach from the government. Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, let's cross over to Naivasha, where my colleague Willie Dennis Njuri is on standby, just to bring us up to speed with the aftermath of the protests that were witnessed in that area yesterday. Willie Dennis, good morning. How is the mood in Naivasha this morning? Willie Dennis? Do we have him?
Thank you very much, my colleague in our studios, Ann Odida, coming to you live from Naivasha CBD, and the station, as you can see just right behind me, it is not what it was yesterday morning. And just before we get into details over this, I would wish our camera person could just give a glimpse of the situation as it is right about now. We have locals here who are watching in disbelief outlet here in Naivasha, where yesterday morning they were able to do a bit of shopping before the shops were later closed. And perhaps if you can watch from a distance, there are still security officers still moving up and about, and there's a bit of traffic been precipitated by the situation on our roads, because we still have boulders on our roads as it is this morning. The stones and boulders are yet to be cleared. If we could just move this further, on the other end, still we have locals there watching on that far end in disbelief of exactly what was the youngest outlet here in Naivasha, the Power Star supermarket. And if we could just have a zoom about on the basement there, as you can see it, those the basement was actually adversely affected by the fire that was there, because it is a building that is still under construction, and as such we still had some construction materials in there that also aggregated the fire, aside the flour and the cooking oil that was there. And we would wish to just bring you up to speed of what was yesterday morning Power Star, a retail market here in Naivasha, but the situation right now will not go in details inside because there is no power as what you can see, but this is what was yesterday a supermarket of full-fledged with all commodities that would serve the interest of any human being. Here we had the counters, but the counters are not there. We also had the computers, and all this place was full of wheat flour and other items. The liquor shop is literally empty, and this part of the bakery is actually just empty with a lot of distractions of what was initially there. Now, Ann Odida, some of the staff in here were actually hurt. Yes, yes. Some of the staff were actually hurt in the process, and they are currently taking medication at the Naivasha Sub-County Hospital, and this is just part of one of 3 retail outlets that were affected. Perhaps at the hour 9 a.m. this morning, we will be at Ketia's supermarket just across on the other side of this town, and we will be painting the picture of the situation as it is, was, and is of now. That is it from this part of this town. I take it back to you, Ann Odida, to continue the discussions in the studio.
All right, thank you so much, Willie Dennis Jury, for that update. Of course, we'll be getting back to you later as the day progresses, of course, to get just a hint of what is happening there and the mood as it continues to take shape. Now, Famba, do you agree that this directive by the CA violates the constitutional freedom of the press?
It's a debatable matter because everything that is done is usually circumstantial, and I want to look at the circumstances. The most basic role of the media is to inform and create awareness. Yes, that is it. But again, it must be balanced against the reality of the environment within which that media is working. We saw very well in 2007, during the post-election violence, whenever people were watching TV and getting influenced of a certain violent act taking place in a certain way, they got influenced and started another violent act elsewhere. And that compromised national security. And that's where the contradiction between Article 34 of the Constitution that gives media freedom gets to be countered by Article 24 of the Constitution of Kenya. Because every freedom or every right has limitations. And those limitations come the moment they interfere with other people's rights. So at that point, it was necessary for the Communication Authority, which was established because it has a role to play within the law, which was established because of that role, so that if there is a problem that is being done through the media, there's need for intervention. And that's why I say it was right. My friend here is talking about section, the media, what is this? Of 1998, Kenya Information and Communication Act of 1998 that was amended in 2013. So the amendment is not the basis of making the organization moribund. The organization is still there for the roles of regulating the media. So maybe a typing error from 1998 to the Amendment Act of 2013 is not supposed to be the basis of saying that there was a mistake. But anyway, it is said people have gone to court, so the courts will decide on that. But on the basis of the environment in which we are operating, it's not good for the media, in the name of national security and patriotism, to project scenes of violence, to promote violence. Because violence can easily be influenced. If you see, for example, we have seen Naivasha where people are looting. So if they are looting like that, and then people see the people who are looting are going scot-free, no one is apprehending them, they'll take advantage, especially the criminal elements usually take advantage of the demonstrations to also start looting sprees, like we saw in Nyeri and somewhere around Thika in Ruiru. There's a lot of looting that has been going on. But now if the media is not projecting such kind of scenes, then those people with criminal minds will not take advantage of such kind of situations. So I think the action was right and timely for the country.
Mm-hmm. But Fumba, when you talk about the basis of the environment that you're working with, you're talking about 2007, like media, we sort of incited the public. But we are in 2025. Kenyans are getting real-time updates from social media, on X, live, on TikTok
like
live,
I said
on
earlier.
YouTube live, Fumba.
Yeah.
Is it a crackdown out of desperation, or what is it exactly? Because as much as, you know, they don't want the media to bring it live, it will still be, you know, streamed on these social media platforms.
There's a bigger responsibility for the mainstream media, because mainstream media is run by professionals. People who've gone to school, people with credentials in that specific field, as opposed to someone who is using his phone to do blogging, for example, or post images that are fake, AI-generated images. You see, for you being within the media circles, you have ethical standards in which you are supposed to operate, and therefore, whatever we consume from you is something that we take to the bank because we believe that is gospel truth. So anytime there's misleading information, or information that is likely to cause breach of peace within the country, then we have a responsibility either to correct it, or if you defy, for the greater good for the country, then the law is supposed to take its course. And that's why institutions like Communication Authority is supposed to oversee or oversight the operations of the media.
Eric, does that directive justify what Fumba is saying?
I think Fumba is speaking from the both sides of his mouth, because his statements are full of contradictions. Let me pick the last point. When he says that journalists and the mainstream media are professionals, and therefore people will want to refer to what they are saying to make an informed decision. Mm. So when you block them out and you stop them from airing what is going on live, where will people get information to confirm what has happened? Because basically that means that you'll open floodgates for propaganda and rumors that will now start spreading. How will people confirm that? Because we've seen that before in 2017 when we had violence in this country, in parts of this country, and people starting using pictures from neighboring countries where there are violence, and saying that, you see, in Kisumu, 100 people have been killed, and here is the bodies lying on the road. So if you stop the media from covering stories from that, how will people refer? Because basically what he's saying, that you will be continue to instill fear and incite people. Somebody in Kibera who has got families in Kisumu and is seeing 100 bodies lying on the road, obviously you will be inciting that person and instigating anger. So that is a deficit argument. Media is there to help the government to contain peace and security in a country. And that is how the government is supposed to use it, because the consumers of media product, if immediately you lock it, you are allowing now other propaganda. In this era of disinformation and misinformation, definitely people will now want to take advantage of that information darkness. So information darkness does not promote peace and security, Mr. Fumba. Number two, Communication Authority of Kenya, its mandate is licensing, and it ends there. Because number one, we've got 3 court judgments actually, court judgment, one by the Supreme Court of Kenya, which it said that the body that is envisaged under Article 34 of the Constitution is the Media Council of Kenya, which is supposed to regulate broadcast content. Justice Chacha Mwita has also ruled that on the same, that Communication Authority has got no mandate to switch off television stations. That is arising from the action they took in 2018 when Raila Odinga was being sworn in as the people's president. The matter went in court, and Chacha Mwita ruled. Another High Court judgment from Justice Mugambi also said that the Communication Authority has got no role to interfere with normal programming and content that is aired by the media. Their role ends with licensing of the media. So what does that mean? It means that if there is a breach, and we are not saying that media may not have some breaches, if there is a breach where you violate the code of conduct, then the Media Council of Kenya comes in. And that's what the role, that is what the Constitution says. The Constitution says that Parliament shall enact an act of Parliament setting a body that will set media standards and ensure compliance with those standards. And that body is the Media Council of Kenya. The Media Council of Kenya was established and therefore came up with a code of conduct for practice of journalism in Kenya. So if there is any part of the practice of a code of conduct that was breached, you go to the Media Council and the Media Council will take action. So instead of allowing the state to come in, because the media all over the world and the democracies which we want to be is that the media has to be self-regulated. And therefore the Media Council comes in. And I've looked at, if you look at the pictures, by the way, I have not seen anywhere there was a breach of a code of conduct. I have not seen anywhere where live TVs were showing where people are looting shops. I have not seen that. I have not seen where in the live TV where people were showing people maybe bleeding or with dead bodies on the street. Media already taken sufficient action on that. And most of them, I'm sure even here at TV47, I'm sure you've taken those precautions whereby sometimes you do not go live as per se, but you delay the signal so that you are able to see what is coming from the field, then you don't air it. And if you were to show a body, which I also showed, I think that was the last week when someone was shot, you blur the body so that the blood is not there. So people should not mistake what they see on social media with what the professional journalists are doing on these mainstream media. If you look at, if you follow keenly from what television stations were showing, they were just showing the running battles between police and the protesters. But where lootings were going, because during the process, a lot of things happen, and the media know how to deal with that. So it is wrong for the communication authority to take action, believing that when they take action, that is when now they'll stop violence. Immediately you do that, that is when now you allow goons to come in. You allow criminals to come in, because they know very well they'll not be captured by the media, they'll not be seen they're not taken by the camera men and women who are there. So it is a defeatist decision that the government is making. Immediately you block the media. You are inviting criminals, you are inviting the goons to join the protesters and start looting what you are trying to stop because of the information darkness that have been enforced by the government.
So, Eric...
Bamba, before you answer that, how then do we become objective in a manner that doesn't sound like we are inciting from where you sit? Because now you're saying that it looks like we're inciting, working on the basis of the environment that we are in today. How do we become objective from your own lens?
First of all, what Eric has said is based on his position as the Secretary General of the Kenya Union of Journalists. He has to speak for his people. As a politician, he is supposed to speak for his people, and that I understand. But what I was talking about is the ethical reporting, which is a universal position. Even when you look at the Universal Declaration for Human Rights, Article 19, or about media freedom that Kenya ratified in 1963. And still continues being applicable in line with the Article 2, sub-Article 6 of the Constitution of Kenya. Also believes in the issue of media freedom, but guided with the restrictions in terms of responsible reporting. And in Kenya, like we've said, if it interferes with the national security as per Article 24, it messes up the whole objective of media freedom and freedom of expression as it is in Article 33, sub-Article 1. Therefore, anytime you have these scenes, and I've made that reference of to 2007, the moment those scenes stopped coming or showing, the violence reduced within the country. It has worked before. So we are also looking at what is right.
It did yesterday, Famba.
And again, when you talk about the law is not static. The law is dynamic. For example, if a court ruling was made in a certain year, it can always be overturned based on the circumstances. And if the circumstances change, the law is always changing. But the most basic principle in law is the Constitution itself, because it guides all of us. And as far as I'm concerned, every regulatory authority that is established by Parliament has got mandate. And mandate is to oversee all those institutions. So you cannot come and start restricting and say that the communication authority is just there to give you licenses and it goes to sleep. It is supposed to know what you are doing. It's obvious for all regulatory authorities to take charge of the institutions under which they are, the institutions that are under them.
I think you need to tell Famba that we are a country of the rule of law. you cannot wish away the Constitution. You cannot wish away the acts of Parliament. You cannot wish away the judgments that have been made by the court. Actually, one of them was is as new as about 2 months ago, because the mandate that the court gave the Media Council of Kenya, the Communication Authority even went to the Court of Appeal, but they were unable to get the orders from the Court of Appeal. So it's something that has happened this year. So, Fuamba, you cannot have a country where you want to uphold peace and security, but at the same time you want to violate the rule of law.
I'm not
it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that way.
I'm not against media freedom.
I'm not supporting even the media freedom.
Specific about the caveat.
Because basically what you are doing, you are rubbishing the court.
I'm not. I'm only saying that law is dynamic.
I had asked you, how then can we objectively report as the media in a manner that we do not come off as insightful?
Just the way you, like as your station being closed. It has not.
Why was
because
what did they
are reporting
show
the same things, but reporting
closure?
According to the ethical standards. If there were any violations, then the Communication Authority will have also taken action against you.
Former history matters, and we talked about this after the 2017 media shutdown. The High Court ruled in February 2018 that the government's action was unconstitutional, illegal, and violation of Article 34. That was according to Justice Chacha Mwite, who declared that the Communications Authority has no power to shut down broadcasters. This president is becoming very critical. Is it okay that we are sinking into a nation that has no disregard at all for the judiciary?
If there's a legal issue arising and this matter has already been taken to court, the courts will decide. But for as long as the country is concerned, every institution has its own way of doing their work. And that's why the Communication Authority was supposed to do its job the way they did. And I think it was necessary.
So
the court will decide. I
get very uncomfortable if you are encouraging anarchy. At the same time, you are the same person who is saying that we are encouraging anarchy. You are the one who is encouraging, because what you are saying, because you are saying,
let me just,
because what you are saying, you are telling me that tomorrow I'll come to your home, steal your goat and get away with it. So you go to court and the court says that Eric returns Fuamba's goat and I refuse to return it. And then what happens? Because that is anarchy. So that I'm saying.
This is an institutional action.
Because you are saying institutional action.
It's the other way around.
Which is.
Because you want institutions established by the law not to practice their duties and responsibilities. Like saying that a communication authority is only supposed to give you a license, it doesn't work that way.
But is the court.
It makes sense.
That is the court.
What then is the work of
that is the court. That is the court.
What is the meaning of authority?
What recourse do we have now when such directives are issued from the legal standpoint as the media? What recourse do we have?
I think already we've got an order. And I think today, we'll be in court again. Yesterday, by night, 3 cases had been filed at the High Court on the same. And one of them actually was, the earlier one got the order stopping Communication Authority from taking any action. And I'm very sure today, all the stations that were switched off, maybe they are back on air. And that is now how the rule of law is supposed to work. Then number 2, when we go to court, obviously what we'll do is we'll be seeking damages from the Communication Authority for unlawful action, because it is a decision that has been made 3 times by the courts, but they do not want to listen. So I'm hoping that as the media, as stakeholders, will be moving to court to seek losses. Obviously, that will be from the taxpayers' pocket. It was the taxes that Fuamba also pays, so that these media houses can be compensated for the losses they incurred during that period that Communication Authority made unlawful decision. And that is how a country is supposed to govern. I said, and even our statement yesterday, I said that if there was any breach, there is a process and there is a procedure, and there is another body that is mandated to do that. So someone should have gone to the Media Council of Kenya and asked the Media Council of Kenya to do its work, so that if there is any violation of the Code of Conduct, we've got 25 thematic areas of the Code of Conduct for practice of journalism. Tell us which section was violated by the media, then action can be taken. But immediately the state wants to come in using thorax without any basis of the law. Obviously, we are inviting anarchy.
Of course, I appreciate that you are moving to court so that it's addressed through the legal process. That's important. But again, the substance of the matter is much more important than the procedure. Imagine if you had to go through those procedures that Eric is talking about. You go to the Media Council,
when you talk about
and those things were happening yesterday.
What do you mean exactly?
So we should not look at procedural issues as hindrances to take certain actions.
Of the matter.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
The substance of the matter was the action that was being reported. That was it. And the actions that were being reported were projecting threats to national security, which comes as a priority to the country because it's for the common good, as opposed to the procedures involved in the legal processes.
How do we then conceptualize the state capture of the media in Kenya when we're talking about we are being a threat to the security?
I wouldn't say that we are there yet. There is no state capture. If you look at where we've come from historically, and I said in the previous program, look at during Kenyatta's time, we only had one media house, KBC. During Moi's time, it was VOK, of course. During Moi's time, we had VOK that turned into KBC, and then towards the end, other media houses started emerging. And even during Moi's time, there was no serious media freedom. During Kibaki's time, we talked about the story of Artur Margarian and Sargassian, who raided one of the media stations and destroyed it without any legal order, without any reason at all, or a legal grounding of any form. But again, we moved to the Constitution 2010, Constitution of Kenya 2010, which is the guideline of everything that we are doing right now. And that's why we insist that the provisions of the Constitution gives you this right and takes it on the other hand so that it balances, so that your right does not interfere with mine. And that's why, even with the unlimited media freedom in terms of Article 34, there are also those provisions for Parliament to establish an institution like now the OACA Communication Authority is, so that it regulates the excesses of the media to take care of the provisions provided for in Article 24 about limitations of freedom of expression and rights.
Fomba, when you talk about the Moi era, clearly you know we are witnessing a political playbook. So do you agree that we are sliding back on constitutional guarantees?
Not really. My argument is that I'm only making reference to those past experiences so that we go in line with what Malcolm X said, that for you to know your future or your current situation, you have to look at your history. And it's on the basis of those historical moments that we are able to improve. And in fact, those historical moments are the ones that gave birth to the Constitution 2010, of Kenya 2010. And even right now, the kind of legislations we make are based on the experiences that we've had.
So, Famba, having said that, I think you being a good student of history, and I agree that history gives us the background and the foundation of today. Mm-hmm. And you just said that we had some of these things happening during the Moi era and Kibaki era. Then you said that in 2010 we had a new constitution. I believe that now you need to deconstruct your thinking of Moi and Kibaki era, because the constitution of 2010 was to clean all the mess we had during Moi and Kibaki era and have a new Kenya. So you can not say that when we had a new Kenya in 2010 by coming up with a new constitution, you still want to justify what is happening right now because in 2007 you had this. I don't think
not justifying.
You are trying to justify. No. That's not comparison. You are trying to justify that these things are happening because they happened during. I even had you during the last the session you had with Fred that these things happened in 2007. We had a Artur Margarian and Sargassian, all this happening, and now why now? Those things happened, and that is why we had a constitution in 2010 so that we can have a new beginning, so that we can protect these rights, because these rights were not protected in the old constitution. And then you also keep referring to those two regimes. At that time, and rightfully you say that we had the media was not as big as it is right now. In 2007, yes, we had social media, but it was used widely as it used right now. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. You can't compare at that time and now, because at that time we had the social media, but right now almost everybody has got a smartphone. Mm-hmm. A majority of Kenyans have got smartphones and they're able to access any content. And that's why I said that this mainstream media, if there is any breach, we should be able to address, but the mainstream media will help more in maintaining peace and security, what you are saying that the state security was threatened. Mm-hmm. Because if there is a misinformation going on, and it has been proven by the research that has been done in the media, I'm sure even you do that, immediately you see something on a WhatsApp group or on social media, X or Facebook, you go to counter-check with the mainstream media if that is true.
That is true.
So if you black out the mainstream media that they are not supposed to bring all this, what's going on, like how will you counter-check or how will you verify information that you will get from a WhatsApp group or your village WhatsApp group that is there? Because immediately there is no way you can verify and flag out that it is not true, obviously you will be increasing anger and inciting people more, because when there is darkness, obviously nobody knows what is going on, and everybody wants now to make that decision. That is why it is important that we allow the media to do the work. If there is any breach, and I've agreed, if there is any violation of the code of conduct, then you flag it out. And action will be taken, because even for us as professionals, we want also to be respected that we are doing a professional work. So if there is, because we also have the peer review systems within the media. So if we believe, and we've done that there is something that a specific radio station or television station is doing, which is contrary to the code of conduct for practice of journalism, we'll flag it out. That is the reason why self-regulation works, because immediately you allow in the state coming in with the iron hands, obviously, when they start muzzling the media, even you suffer, because at the moment maybe it might fit your argument on how you believe in it. But tomorrow, if the state gets its way and start muzzling the media, I'm sure you will be the first person to start crying that, the media is no longer giving us the information as we accept. So the media exists for the common good of the society. So if there is anything wrong, let's flag it out, and we deal with it at professionals. No, you don't allow the state to come in with iron hands.
We're actually on the same page, because if you look at the circumstances of the decision, first of all, I think there was a warning kind of consultation. Hey, you people, stop this live coverage of these bad scenes through a diplomatic arrangement. Then there might have been some resistance. In fact, there was defiance. There's some stations that were just outright defiant.
What were they violating exactly? What were the media violating?
Those threats to national security, those issues that featured in line with being threats to national security.
They're showing the world what is happening in Kenya?
The other day, I was just telling Fred that if you have a domestic squabble, you don't go there out and advertise to everyone that we are fighting.
It's reality.
We cannot play a role towards encouraging people not to come to our country. We will soon start getting travel advisories, and we miss tourism funds. We miss, is it called foreign exchange? Just because of that. The media is supposed to be patriotic. You're supposed to also be a Kenyan and know that this is what you're supposed to report, and this is what you report ethically. I'm not saying that you don't report.
So, Fwamba, you are saying
ethically, and that was the argument, and that was the communication authority.
People working in the digital scene who are also very well educated and are accredited journalists by the Media Council of Kenya. So whether the press, us, the broadcasters, air it live or not, these things people will still get access to it,
so
whether we air it or not.
Basically, Fwamba is saying that as an investor out there or as a tourist out there, you want to come to a country where you don't know what is going on inside there. Basically, that was Fwamba is saying.
You know what is going on, but the origin of my argument,
you see now.
No, the origin of my argument is that these scenes influence other people who might be having criminal minds to also initiate such operations. For example, if someone watches TV and sees the people robbing a certain supermarket, and they're not being held accountable.
I've challenged you.
They also experiment.
Show us a TV station. Roads. I'm saying show us a television station.
People are blocking roads, destroying property.
Just tell us. Wamba, just tell us, because these are rumors that you are trying to spread. Tell us a specific station you saw showing live footage of people burning. Just listen. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Those are rumors. That you are rumors. That's what I'm saying. You are engaging in rumors and propaganda, which is very unfair. I've told you.
Banning over tarmac.
Tell us if you saw any television station showing people burning cars, showing people looting supermarkets and shops. Tell us, because you are basing your argument on rumors and hearsay. And you rightfully say that for us, we are professional journalists, which we rely mostly on facts and accuracy. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Don't justify the state action if you do not have facts.
I'm not justifying.
Because you're justifying the state action.
I'm only saying nothing to do at that time.
That's what I'm telling you.
Everything has its own timing.
That's what I'm telling you. The timing.
You must choose what to do at what time. If you were to go through those procedures.
I'm not saying any procedure. I'm just telling you. From where we sit at professionals, we know very well that we've got a role also to maintain peace and security. And that's why even if you look at The Nation right now, on page 1, they have got an editorial there calling for peace. We know very well.
Now, by the way,
That's what I'm
talking
talking
about, Mr. President. Stop the descent into anarchy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And you don't want even the police to work.
That's what I'm trying to tell
I've seen
you.
that kind of
Base your argument on what you saw and what you know. Don't base your argument to just trying to imagine. Because you are trying to imagine.
Apart from those,
you are trying to imagine. You are trying to imagine that the state took action because the media was showing those pictures. And I've just challenged you. Show us
apart from
a
that,
television station.
There has been deliberate biased reporting in certain media houses.
You see now,
whereby it plays a role in inciting the
which
citizens.
Which one? Just tell us. Just give us a story. Just give us a story because
it's very unpatriotic.
You're working with the rumors.
That's something. Stop propaganda. No. Stop propaganda.
Of course, you are a journalist, so you have to make that.
Let's move away from that. I asked him about how we now conceptualize state capture with everything that is happening, the media, state capture of the media, but he said we aren't there yet. What's your stand on that?
I think that's where we are headed. And we've just tried to push back on what the state is trying to do, because that's why if you see what happened yesterday, the media said, and all the media stations issued a statement saying that whatever the state is trying to do is illegal and unconstitutional and has got no basis on law. And that is the reason why now the state moved in. And I've just said that what will happen is that we will go there and let CA feel the pain by compensating these television stations, by switching them off. Any losses that could have incurred between the time they switched off, CA must be ready to bear that bill. And as the media, we must continue, because I've never seen anywhere where the government likes the media, even in the developed countries. The media and the state, the relationship has always been adversarial. What is supposed to be is that the state is just supposed to follow the law. And if the media is not following the law, like I said, there are mechanism. Use the mechanism that has been established by the law to take action against the media, because we know that in any society, you will always get some people probably not abiding by the law. And anybody who doesn't abide by the law is there. How you take care of that person. You do not invite anarchy by disrespecting the law, at the same time trying to enforce the law and in the name of national security. If there is any threat to the national security, as the media, you also have a responsibility. We live in this country. Nobody says that we don't live. We live in this country, and let's see, is there a way how we can deal with this matter? And we deal with this matter within the processes that had been established by the law. If the state believes that there was incitement and the media took part in it, yes, we can look at it, and action is taken based on the mechanism that have been established by the law.
Of course, at that moment,
just a minute, Famba. Yes. How do we then perform our watchdog role as the media? If you're talking about, we should not be, telling the public what is happening, in various areas. Because you're saying
you should not be telling the public what is happening.
We should look out for what we are showing the country. But now, how do we perform our watchdog role? If you're not telling them that, the police and the protesters are engaging in a running battle, then how do we perform our role?
I've only talked about fair, ethical, and sincere reporting.
That is
because
what we're doing.
There are circumstances whereby there has been deliberate biased reporting of the events of the day. For example, you look at the screaming headlines like, Mr. President, stop descent into anarchy. I'm saying this. But again, the same people are condemning the police when the police try to
tell us what's wrong with that.
Keep peace.
Tell us what's wrong if we are calling the president to order.
No, you are calling him to order, but
yes,
at the
exactly.
same time, you're also telling
demonstrators
to, you are encouraging demonstrators
because
to
we are simply doing our role, because
this is in order,
from the
beginning. But again, why are you also fighting the police?
We are not fighting the police. Who has the police?
No one is fighting the police.
Who has for the police?
No, there are people.
We don't have guns.
I'm not saying you in particular. I'm saying there are people who have come out and saying the police are not supposed to guide demonstrators the way they are.
People, not the media, right?
Go for those people.
They have been biased. No, some of the media houses. I know you represent all the media houses. So,
but I'm a journalist, and journalism. Even besides that, as I speak, I speak as a journalist.
So you cannot tell someone stop descent into anarchy, and then at the same time, the same people you are defending, the demonstrators, a section of them are going into supermarkets to rob, to loot, to destroy property, to stone policemen. You saw a lady policewoman who was attacked by a section of demonstrators yesterday. And I wouldn't want to condemn all the demonstrators, because I know there were several sections. There are those ones who were planners of the commemoration, very objective in whatever they were planning. And then there was a group of politicians also wanted to take advantage of the moment. They're opportunistic as usual. Every political opportunity, everyone wants to take advantage. They were coming with slogans, political slogans, and they mobilized people from Thika Road and Kiambu Road mainly to come into the city and cause mayhem and destroy property.
So
now,
the problem, the media or
the state has a responsibility. No, I'm saying the media has reported this, It is the media that has reported.
They're doing their job.
Stop dissent.
I'm just asking, what's the wrong?
Stop dissent into anarchy. Now, I'm saying it's contradictory that the president or the state is supposed to take care of your property under Article 21. It has a responsibility to ensure that your rights are safeguarded, including rights to property as articulated in Article 40 of the Constitution of Kenya. So how do we expect these two things to balance if you're inciting and siding with one side of demonstrators, including the rogue ones? Because some of the media has been reporting in that style, in such a way that the government is bad, is doing this and that. But on the other hand, they're encouraging these people that they are so brave. We have organized demonstrations before. We have been part of the demonstrations before. But a demonstration is supposed to be orderly and organized. The problem with the media is that it has taken sides with some of these rogue.
Let me ask you, Fwamba, do you know where we draw our name as the fourth estate?
Explain to me that you're feeling.
Okay. We draw our name as the fourth estate because we serve the first three estates. First of them being the government as a whole, one of the states. Another state is the people. Then the third state is the religion. That is a celibacy. So we've got a responsibility to serve these three states. We cannot turn a blind eye to one state and focus on the other state. We must serve the people. We've got a responsibility to serve the citizens. We've got a responsibility to serve the government and also to serve religious leaders and organizations. So you can't tell us that for us, we just need to focus on what the government is doing.
No. The problem is about bias.
We are not biased.
That we focus on
because you see bias.
Whatever you are saying is exactly what I'm advocating for.
The station is biased. You know, the SG has asked.
No, we said we are not naming anyone. We are not naming anyone.
No.
What I know is that TV47 is not.
If you want to help,
what I know is that TV47 is not, and that's why
for us, we also want, I said that we as journalists also live in this country. We want to see a prosperous country. We want to see a stable country so that all of us can work in. Because even if you see in this demonstration, journalists are also injured. And they're also human beings and also Kenyans. What we do as the media is to tell the country this is who we are. Because generally, the media is just simply a mirror that we are trying to put in the mirror and tell the society called Kenya, this is what we are. And now you are trying to tell us that we should put the mirror down and just allow Kenya. Basically, that's what you are trying to say.
It should be fair.
But Eric, is the government under any circumstance allowed to be the sole arbiter of what we as the media should show the public, the people of Kenya, and of course the world at large? How do we then draw that balance?
If you look at, in 2014, there was a miscellaneous amendment bill that passed through Parliament. And through that act of Parliament, the government was seeking to control how the media was going to cover such events and also acts of terror. And again, the court said that the government cannot decide for the media what the media is supposed to do. And I also say, sometimes I also like referring to what the courts also say. And the courts actually have punished media houses. Immediately they find that such media house has gone against their own code of conduct. I remember there was a high court ruling on a defamation case in Nyeri. And the judge said that we cannot entertain a journalist who violates his or her own code of conduct. So the courts actually have also punished the media as much as they have also stopped the state from interfering with the freedom or independence of the media. So the balance is there, that if you feel that there is something that the media or journalists have done which is against the code of conduct, the redress mechanism is there. You do not use thorax like what Fwamba is trying to advocate, that use thorax to stop the media. No, we are a country.
Intervention.
We are a country that is ruled by the Constitution. Just follow the law, and then if there is something wrong, action will be taken against the specific media houses, and people will say that is it justified? Yes. If it's justified, yes, because that's what the law provides. But you can't say that let us operate outside the law because of the circumstances. Because like I'm telling that even me tomorrow I'll come and steal your goat because and say that I stole your goat because I was angry.
We all work within the framework of the law. And that is why you have your day in court. You are going to seek that intervention. But even yesterday's intervention was very necessary. So the courts will decide on whether it was wrong or right. But at that point, it was good in the best interest of the country.
Fomba, does this erosion of transparency signal a fear of public discontent, or is it just a broader failure in democratic accountability?
It all depends on which side of the conversation you are standing from. You know, everything in Kenya right now is politicized. So everybody sees something on the basis of the political affiliation or the preferences or position of advantage. For example, if there's a conflict between the media and the government, for example, those two sides will not agree on any point. But those of us who are somewhere in the middle, who are not in government, who are not in the media.
I had you being introduced as a governance analyst and political analyst, which I believe that you are supposed to understand.
Yes.
The simple,
and that's what I'm telling you.
Or I can educate you.
That's what I'm telling you.
Or I can educate you in the basics.
There are two sides.
And I can also educate you in the basics of good governance if you want to run away from it. So we just stick to the issue of governance because
principles
governance and accountability. And exactly that's what you will be does. And we can let us concentrate on that.
We know all that transparency.
Yeah.
But again, we are also supposed to be responsible citizens. I said the Constitution does not favor one side or one individual. Your rights stop where my rights start. And that's the position. So we cannot say that one side has violated another side's rights in the name of violating other rights. In the name of protecting your rights, don't destroy other people's rights.
Fomba, again, I'll ask you that question. Is it okay that you're sinking into a nation that doesn't have any regard for the rule of law?
I do not think so. We have institutions. And that's why I've told Eric, if they have decided to go to court, those institutions will take care. They will weigh on which one is right and what is wrong. And then they'll make a decision. But as yesterday, you cannot say it was not within the law. Yet, the action was taken by an organization set up by a statute of parliament. So it's an institution that is established on the basis of the laws that we have. So we cannot say that we are doing anything outside the law.
The court has been clear on its stance. The Communication Authority has no power at all to shut down broadcasters.
That, I've said, you are going to court. You'll go and then
confirm
whether the action was right or not. The courts will decide.
I think the courts have already decided because they have done it.
I know about previous rulings, but previous rulings are usually circumstantial. So if the position of the
I'm sure even if there is a student of law hears you saying that the ruling is based on the circumstantial, I think that they will be disappointed because the court judgments are there for prosperity, which you can refer to them even years to come. You can't say that a court judgment that was made in 2020, in 2017, if that court judgment has not been overturned by the Superior Court.
I agree, but
I think that is a very, and let me put it, unfair comment when you say that court ruling are circumstantial. But if it has not been overturned by the Superior Court, it remains a judgment.
I agree. It could be something similar to what happened before, but it's not exactly the same. And that's why when you go to court, it is the court that will decide whether this is exactly like what happened in 2018 or not.
Article 34 says, freedom and independence of electronic print and all other types of media is guaranteed.
Yes.
The state shall not
interfere.
The state shall not exercise control over or interfere with any person engaged in broadcasting, the production or circulation of any publication. We've seen other journalists.
But it goes ahead.
For reporting and also being in possession of these videos of this protest this year.
The same article goes ahead and says that
you need to help Fomba so that he understands
that it will be established within law.
Just listen, Fomba, let me just educate you so at least you're able to know. The reason why we are against the CA taking action against the media is because CA is part of the state, isn't it? Look at the composition of the CA board and how it operates. It's the government. And that's why the law is stopping the government from interfering with the state, as simple as that.
But there is mandate under the same article.
It's not there.
the same
is
Article
there
34
to give the license.
to give,
because it's the
to
government.
give regulatory.
No.
Regulatory authority.
It's the license that.
And regulating is not about license.
That's I'm trying to. I'm just.
That's why
I'm just.
if you give the license, you also have authority to revoke the same license.
I'm just trying to educate you that the court ruled, and the reason why the court has been ruled, and even up to the Supreme Court, is that the composition of CA. Obviously, that is government, and the Constitution says that the government cannot interfere with the operations of the media, and that is why the Media Council was established, because it's a non-state agency, so that the state does not interfere with the operation of the media.
Under the harmonious rule of interpretation of the Constitution, you cannot interpret the Constitution using one article. Article 34 gives media freedom. But then Article 24 has limitations on all rights within the Bill of Rights.
So Fuamba, you are saying that the Supreme
and those limitations include national security.
Fuamba is saying that we've got a bogus Supreme Court of Kenya that cannot interpret the law, because what I am saying, it was interpreted by the Supreme Court.
I've not said that.
So basically that's what you are saying.
I've only said that one article of the Constitution, you are dwelling on 34 alone, as if it's the whole.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, that you are saying the same thing, but
whatever happened yesterday,
but what I'm trying to tell you
has never happened before.
But what I'm trying to tell you is,
it was not.
What do you mean? Whatever happened?
Maybe something that looks like it, something like it looks like it happened, but not exactly that it was. So that's why you are going to court to find out whether it is the same. Like the one that happened in 2018.
We have not
last year.
Number one. Last year we were here, the same place. CA ordered for the closure of, that we should not be reporting this protest last year. But this year we are here again. So what is different this year and last year?
But before you do that, but it is important. It is important to tell Fuamba that there is no way you can rubbish an interpretation of the law made by the Supreme Court of Kenya.
I've not rubbished.
No, you are
you have created it conveniently.
No, because you are trying
to make it look like it was that interpretation.
Because you are trying to.
I'm only saying that for you to use Article 34, you must also apply Article 24.
Let me just finish, because you are trying to tell us that the Supreme Court judges did not follow that. They only interpreted the law based on Article 34. Because I am sure that.
No, we are not going to.
Basically, that's what we are saying. Because that's what we are doing. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to tell you, Fuamba, that sometimes before even you come to TV, do a research.
If you talk about.
Do a research so that you are informed. So that you are informed.
If you talk about. You jumped the gun. Because if you got into the Supreme Court decision when we were discussing issues concerning yesterday.
Because if you look at the issue of the yesterday, it is the same thing that happened in 2018 when CA went and switched off the television stations. And it's the same basis that even when we were making this application in court, we just listen. When we are making this application to court, we are referred to the court decision.
I agree. That's what usually happens. But give it to the judges to decide.
Papa, you have so many, but
don't decide.
You have so many, but
don't decide. Give it to the judges to decide.
Politicians have been on record. Even Sosion was here and they said that media, we should do a self-assessment check. We've had other politicians say that media freedom should have limits. So what should our limits be?
The limits have already been given by the Constitution. And I've said this even before, that there is no vacuum anywhere in law about how the media is supposed to operate. What I know is that the subject of accountability is very difficult in governance, and that's why Fuamba is trying to avoid it, coming out with a lot of explanation around it. Accountability and the role of a watchdog is not that easy. And I said also that it will be a problem in a country if media and the state go in bed. It's a problem in a country. So what is supposed to happen is that the two institutions are supposed to work for the common good of Kenyans. But immediately media run away from its responsibilities and start going and praising the state without holding the state to account, there will be a problem. So the media exists as a watchdog to hold those in power to account. And that's where now the rubber meets the road, because nobody likes the subject of accountability in governance. And that's the reason why we are here. Why that's what Gen Zs are saying. That's what young people are saying, that we want the state to account for everything. We have to stop corruption. We have to enforce the rule of law. We have to stop killings, extrajudicial killings and abduction. Basically, that's what these people are saying. I have not heard the Gen Zs asking for anything else. That somebody will say that Gen Z are, probably the media is trying to amplify anarchy or to bring anarchy. But what these people were saying, I'm sure when it started last year, and that's what the media has been saying. The media said let us follow the rule of law, period. And I've not heard the media telling Gen Z that you guys go on the street so that you can do this. No, the media has got a responsibility to say what Gen Z are advocating for. The media also has got a responsibility also to bring the government on the table and have the government also engage the Gen Zs, because that is the role of the media. But anybody expecting that the media will turn a blind eye to what the citizens are seeing, obviously the media will be failing a country.
And no one is advocating for the turning of the blind eye to what is happening. We are talking about fair and biased and ethical coverage.
Just hold on to that. We're coming back to that so that you can explain to us what you mean by bias and fair reporting. Because what are we not doing right in terms of our reporting as the...
I said...
Let's cross over to Mombasa. My colleague Quinto Wafula is on standby. Quinto, yesterday, protest there looked a bit peaceful. Is that the situation this morning as well? How is the mood in Mombasa?
It is a good morning, Ann Odida, coming to you live from Mombasa. As you've just mentioned, yesterday we had demonstrations all over the city, and this road that I'm standing is it was one of the routes that demonstrators snaked through it, bringing the city to a standstill. But this morning, as you can see, traffic is flowing steadily. Everything is going on, resuming to normalcy. There is no much happening today. Yesterday we had demos, they were peaceful, but just on finishing, there is a group of people who are said to be goons who tried to interfere with the demonstration, but they were handled. Police dealt with them accordingly. So this morning, there is nothing new here in Mombasa. We just say that everything is returning to normalcy. People have reopened their businesses. As you can see, matatu owners have returned their matatus on the roads, and things are flowing just as normal. The city is back. And just to inform you that yesterday the demonstrations were peaceful, and there was no case reported where someone was arrested. So meaning everything went on as well. No, it was not reported of any business being looted. Yes, here in Mombasa. So that is it from this city, which is in the island, the biggest city in the island of Kenya. Yes, Mombasa City. So back to you in studio. Rather, if you have any question, Odida.
Thank you so much, Quinto Wafula, for that update. No questions for you now. Maybe we'll join you later on, of course, for more updates. And stay safe still in Mombasa. All right, Afwamba, you see there we are reporting about protest in Mombasa being peaceful. Is that what you want to see? Is that the only thing you want to see in the media?
Not necessarily, not really. We are talking about biased reporting.
Isn't that biased?
That's
talk about
Have you been closed down? Have you received any threat of being closed down? You haven't.
Isn't that fair though? Isn't that fair reporting when you talk about peaceful protest and just showing the public this tug of war?
That's fair reporting.
So what's the problem?
Honest. There's no problem. I have said this is not supposed to be blanket.
But is that the only thing you want to see?
Blanket condemnation. I've said there are certain media houses that are on an agenda, and I think they're sponsored by certain partisan political groupings or political individuals. They are sympathizers to certain politicians. So that whenever there's a conflict between the government and those certain politicians, they'll take the side of that certain politicians. And that has been ongoing all the time. So it goes against the principle that Eric was talking about in the name of fairness, of looking at every institution and reporting things the way they are. If you are biased, if you are reporting in favor of a certain grouping, then you are not serving the key principles of media reporting.
Eric, have we seen media houses that are biased in their reporting so far?
There's one media house in particular.
I know a human being is subjective by nature, and I can see where he's coming from. Because obviously, if you see something that is not aligned to your thinking and your thoughts, obviously you say that is biased. But that is what the media is supposed to do. Because we are not supposed to please you, but we are supposed to tell you as it is, that this is the country we are living in and this is what is going on. I will only be disappointed if the media is not doing that. But so long as that you are complaining, I think that means that the media is doing its job.
I'm not the government.
Yes. But
I'm looking at things.
But what is supposed to? What happens? I see what happens is that many a times people think, and even those in government, they think that the media exists to be a PR voice of the media. And I think that's now supposed to be. The media is not the government PR. The government has its own communication system, which have failed. And you remember last year when President William Ruto addressed the media, he said that his communication team has failed, isn't it? So I think we have also to add, and it was good that he admitted. And once you've admitted there's a problem, then you fix the problem. Has he fixed the problem? I don't think so. So we cannot expect the media to be playing the role of communication department in the government. And I think that's what the thinking of people in the government.
But
government, just listen, the government must revive its own communication systems to work. The government has, for example, the government has neglected the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. Look at what is happening in KBC, and that is what is supposed to be doing the work that the government is expecting the private media to do. Number two, we used to have Kenya News Agency. It has collapsed. If you go to the Ministry of Information, you'll find that these departments have collapsed. The government has refused to revive them. So, honestly, as the media, we made this proposal to the government, that we know where the problem is. You're expecting that the media will play the role of the government communication team, but that is not our role. Our role is to serve the public. Let the government come up with its own communication system, messaging, and channel it to the people. But you don't expect that the government, the media will be developing this message and channeling it to the people. So we can't play that role. And I think that's where the problem, that's why we are saying that. And number two, lastly, if the government is not coming out to communicate to the people, what do we do? Do we do that role for them? No, it's the government to come out and communicate to the people. I have not heard anywhere where the media has stopped any government officer or any official from the government from using those media channels to communicate to the people. These channels are there, and that's why even if you're doing...
Let's go back to Naivasha. We're coming back to you. Willie Dennis Njiru, any updates from Naivasha?
Thank you, and once again, yet in another retail outlet here that was adversely affected post yesterday's activities across the country. And right now we are outside Ketia's supermarket, and the situation as was on Power Star. There's a bit of arson, as you can see. This small tuk-tuk here belonged to this supermarket, that is Ketia's, that was used to ferry commodities for the customers. And if you can see, just watch closely. My camera person could just take you around just to show you the situation as it is. There was too much of damage yesterday, but these doors were actually burglar proof. As you can see, they did not give access to those who were doing this yesterday, but they made it with commodities from the windows, as you can see over there. And as you move around, it is all tattered window panes across the supermarket, where those who are doing this took away the commodities from those spaces. The security are still taking cover. As you can see over there, there is a police Land Cruiser just right behind there, and adjacent to it is another major outlet, but it was not part of the target. We will move again to the other side where this all took place. We will not have an access to go inside, but people who are here yesterday actually made it to access inside through those window panes. As you can see outside there, all these places had a lot of food stuff, but most of them were taken away through those window panes, and they actually had made some other penetration at the rear entrance, where actually they put this, they always offload goods that come into the supermarket from, because that is the first floor there were a lot of vehicles that were parked along here, some of them lorries that gave an easy access to the first floor, where they were able to penetrate the windows, gain access to the facility, and quite literally, and as you can see, these were not just empty bottles, they contained what they actually are supposed to contain. They are liquor bottles, but aside that, those who had their 1-2 along the road, they did this and broke the bottles there. The situation is as it is, but this is not all said and done, because there is still another supermarket along the highway that is approximately 5 kilometers from this town on the on the Nakuru highway, just 5 kilometers from here, or as you head to Nairobi, that is Naivas supermarket, and it is commonly referred to as Naivas Safaris. Similar activities took place there, so much damage. The owners are still counting losses into millions, because much is taken away, and these are all things that are subject now to police investigations and inquests and all that it has to take to assert what has actually happened here. We are reliably informed that the owners of these facilities are making their way here from the capital city, and they will be giving their remarks thereafter of exactly they quantify on what excesses they have gone into loss. Remember, there are people working here, so many of them. There are people supplying these supermarkets, and all of these people are now jobless, from the suppliers, from the drivers, from those who are working in the supermarkets. It is just messy. Little shall we say about bit by bit to what it is here in Naivasha. But with all this said and done, we will be bringing our viewers up to speed subsequently, 7 and 9. But more of it at the touch of the hour, 11 a.m., we could be crossing over kwa matukio katika sehemu nyingine. And Odida, ni hayo tu kwa sasa. I take it back to you in our studios in the capital city.
All right, thank you so much, Willie Dennis Njiru from Naivasha, for that update. And Fomba, with all that is happening in regards to this media capture, sort of, do you think we'll still be able to maintain trust from the public as the media?
For as long as we remain objective, it will not be a collective. I'm insisting on this word. It's not a collective problem. Every media house will have to run its own standards and go with it. Like you see the way Njiru has reported, very objective reporting, that it's very easy to relate the damage caused yesterday to the job of earning, to lack of earning and lack of loss of jobs for some of our people, some of our citizens in the country. There are people who are going to go without food because of the looting that happened yesterday, because of the criminal elements that infiltrated into the demonstrations. So that's objective reporting, as opposed to airing live scenes and cheering on how these so-called demonstrators are so powerful and so important, and yet they are being sent by certain politicians so that they set a certain message that the country is not running well. So back to what Eric said, there was something I wanted to address on the issue of, he talked about the issue of the PR for the government or no. Mm-hmm. According to me, the journalists are not necessarily supposed to speak on behalf of the government. Just the way they expose corruption and talk about the many bad things that happen in government. It's also objective to balance it with what good is happening elsewhere. You cannot have like 7 consecutive newspaper headlines from a certain media house talking about negativities in this country, that whoever is outside this country will think that this is like Somalia. You see? We have had a certain newspaper having that kind of trend. Be patriotic, at least try to be patriotic a bit. Because if this country sinks, all of us sink. And objective reporting is one of those tenets that will ensure that we are a stable country. Because if you lose it, all of us lose.
And Eric asked you a question. Should we not be showing the world what is happening?
You show the world what is happening. You show the world what is happening, but objectively.
I think
not like we have been sent to destroy the country completely to serve certain political interests.
I was expecting Famba to tell us about the paper he's talking about that has been having these negative stories about the government. And I'm not saying that you name. I was expecting that you will tell us that this headline was wrong. It was not factual. It was lies and rumors.
There are those headlines.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. You're just complaining that they have been negative. The issue should be, are those headlines not factual? Are they lying? Are they spreading rumors and propaganda? Then you'll have a point. But so long as...
It's a smear campaign.
No, you see now, but...
there could be,
just listen.
Positive things. I agree.
Not even it's positive.
That is bad. Something negative.
I'm just asking you.
Let's have order.
I'm just asking you. You'll help this country if you tell this country that these headlines that have been consistently written by this newspaper, all of them are lies. They are rumors and propaganda. Then you'll have a point. But you can't say that that because they are negative, they're not supposed to be there. And I said that is the editorial policy that they have taken, so long as those headlines are trying to tell us
they are selling.
Whether they are selling or not, but are they telling us something that is happening in this country or not? You'll be telling us those headlines are not telling us what is happening in the country. Maybe they are telling us what is happening in other countries in the region. Then you'll have a point. But you cannot base your argument because they are negative. So long as, if they are negative, but they are factual and there's some truth in it, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. And that's what the media exists to do. Tell us as it is, what is happening in your society.
But it's not supposed to drive one narrative that is biased
it's not biased.
Sectarian,
to some sectarian. It's not biased. The issue here, are they factual? Are they
talking about anything positive?
Not positive. That's what I say, that we are not, the media is not the PR.
But it's supposed to give balance.
We are not doing the PR for
From Article 34 once again says, all state-owned media shall be free to determine independently the editorial content of their broadcasts or other communications.
That I agree.
And that's what I'm telling you.
Free from government interference. But unfortunately, that is okay. Unfortunately, there is a position that interests of a certain
and you say,
politician.
Famba, the law also allows you to go to the Media Complaints Commission with any headline you think it's not factual, and your concern will be addressed. That's what I was saying. So you can't just base your arguments on what you believe or what you think in, but you are not telling us that this headline was not factual. The story in this newspaper was rumors and lies. The law allows you to go to the Media Complaints Commission and you'll be addressed, concerns will be addressed. So this issue of expecting the media to be the communication agency of the government, it can't work. The government has its own system. It's supposed to communicate, and the media has always provided the platform. The media has never turned away any government officer who wants to talk to the public through the media. So, and that is an advantage that the government is supposed to take. But what we are seeing the government retreating and now resorting to propaganda and blaming the media. I don't think the blame game can help. Let the government use the media to communicate with the people. As simple as that.
Famba, you're saying media houses should write on issues that are free from government interference. But what you're looking at yesterday, this order to close down those 3 media houses, isn't that government interference?
That is according to, I insist, I think it's something we've talked already before, that in Article 34 you are given that freedom. You have been given everything like an open check. But again, it was the same, the end of between 1 and 5 of Article 34. There is provision for creation of an institution that is supposed to regulate you as a media, which is the Communication Authority.
No, it's not true, Famba. Say, be factual. I've tried to educate you.
It's a statute.
No, you are misleading. You see, that's the problem. You see, that's we get it wrong. You get it wrong when you sit on a national TV and you want to mislead the public. Don't mislead the public.
No,
just listen. I've told you.
Out of nowhere.
Under Article 34, it says very well that Parliament shall enact. Just listen. Let me educate you so that you don't mislead the public, because I can see you are trying to mislead the public, which is very wrong, because the media, you said at the beginning here, the media is supposed to educate and inform, but now you are misleading the public. Under Article 34, it says that the Parliament shall enact an act of Parliament setting a body that shall set standards and ensure compliance.
Now that's the Kenya
it's not
Information and Communication Authority.
No, it's not.
Kenya Information and Communication
Authority. You are lying,
you are as informed by Article 34 of the Constitution.
You are misleading the public.
And then that institution,
you are misleading the public.
Is the one.
Why can't you just get this free education? You'll never get it elsewhere, anywhere. You'll never get this free education. Now that you've got the benefit, just listen. Let me just tell you. Let me educate you.
You cannot.
No, let me educate you.
Look at Article 34.
Let me educate you.
Using it in a singular manner.
Listen, Fuamba,
you cannot look at it in line with the other provisions of the Constitution and other.
Let me address the public. Fuamba is here is lying. That is not true position.
But Article 34 must be read.
Just read it. But let me educate the public so that the public can go and do research and know who is trying to mislead them, because you are misleading them. The body that was established under Article 34, it is the Media Council of Kenya. It is supposed to set the standards and ensure compliance. And there is no doubt about that.
That's for journalists.
No, it's there for journalists and the media enterprises. Read the law. It's there. It's journalists and the media enterprises. That's what the law says. So don't mislead the public. So, and that body is there. And it's also established the mechanism through which you can seek redress in the event that the journalists and even media houses violate the Constitution. The Media Council exists for 3 reasons. Number 1, to deal with the disputes between the public and the media. Intramedia, between the media and the media themselves, and between the media and the state. So these laws are elaborate. And I said that there is no vacuum. This is elaborate.
Kenya Information and Communication Act.
KICA is there to regulate KICA regulates telecommunication companies, not the media.
Okay.
And then number 2,
under that,
then it only does. Just listen.
Communications Authority.
Just listen. Under that, I'm trying to educate you so that you don't mislead the public.
Because it's trying to.
No. I'm just trying to educate you so that you don't
mislead.
And there was contestation about that. And that's why I'm saying that this matter went all the way from the High Court to the Supreme Court on the interpretation of the body that had been envisaged to regulate the media. And the Supreme Court, under the Chief Justice William Tunga, made the judgment that the body that was envisaged by Article 34 of the Constitution is the Media Council of Kenya. Because, no, bias. I'm not the one who ruled.
I know you are making convenient arguments.
No, I'm not convenient. I'm just telling you. I'm just trying to separate the
communication.
I'm just trying to tell you. Now listen. Then from there,
yes,
there has been again another contest over that, and even recently, when Communication Authority was coming, because then Communication Authority, arguing that they can still regulate the media, they came up with what they are calling programming code or broadcasting code. I'm sure you know that. Again, High Court Judge Mugambi ruled that Communication Authority, they only deal with the spectrum. They do not deal with the programming and the media content. So that, and if you want to help the country, ask the Media Council to do its work. You don't allow the Communication Authority to do the work of the Media Council. Basically, that's what you are saying, that let the Communication Authority deal with the issue of regulating the spectrum and licensing.
Now, that was a procedural issue I was talking about. Yeah. You cannot dwell on the procedure and forget about the facts that are on the ground. Yesterday, the procedure you're talking about, having to look for the Media Council so that interventions are made, will have not taken effect.
So Media Council doesn't operate in this country? They don't operate in this country?
It operates, but under coordination with others.
I'm saying they don't work in this country.
Cannot work
because I know, just to tell
the Communications Authority,
because I know,
the Communication Authority has got the overall role of regulation.
What we did, I know Communication Authority went to court to get an order so that they can come in, and they were denied the order.
If you are a regulatory institution in this country,
just hold on to that.
You have a responsibility to license.
Alfayo
and also
Kombo
licenses.
is on standby in Kisii. Kombo, good morning. How is the mood in Kisii this morning? Any distractions, peace? How is the mood?
Thank you very much, Arno Dida. It is a beautiful morning in Kisii County. Despite yesterday, it was a push and pull till 9 p.m. Whereby police officers were forced to use tear gas canisters till that time because the situation was at unrest. Remember that yesterday, this road where we are, no business was being transacted. The main capital roundabout, Darajambili Market, Daraja Moja, all roads, Old Kisumu Road, Migori Kisii Road, all those roads were highly guarded by protesters, whereby they had barricaded stones, preventing all vehicles. Remember that all the vehicles that were coming all the way from Nairobi were forced to make a U-turn at the Kisii High School, whereby the travelers were forced to alight there in order to get their way into town. I remember that yesterday it was a chaotic day here in Kisii town. An epitome of Maandamano was being viewed here in Kisii town. Remember that different people were forced to close their businesses. Some supermarkets were looted yesterday here in Kisii town. Businesses were destroyed. Many business vendors got very many losses. But with me here, I have one of the business vendors and a motorcycle rider who will just give us what really happened yesterday. If you just come here, pengine tueleze jana hali ilikuwa vipi?
Yes, manabari jana ilikuwa mbaya zaidi. Ilikuwa maandamano sijawahi shuhudia tangu miaka ya nyuma. Enyewe ni vile inaonyesha ya kwamba wananchi wamechoka na hii serikali. Wananchi wamegadhabishwa na hii serikali. It is high time that this government needs to change this style of leadership. Maandamano watu wamepata hasara jana. Tulikuwa tunatarajia tupate angaa chakula ya siku, lakini ilikuwa ngumu. Tumeshuhudia visa vya uhalifu hapa na pale. Kwa hivyo nasema ya kwamba hili ni jambo ambalo serikali inafaa itilie maanani. Wasiwe ni wakupuuza ya kwamba watu utaenda tu kwa barabarani, wasunguke huko na huko, wakimbie, wachoke, ndio tena warudi nyumbani. Hii ni kuonyesha kwamba hawataki kuwajibika kusaidia mwananchi kwa njia moja ama nyingine. Kwa sababu watu waliumia, tunaona watu waliumia, wengine wakapelekwa hospitali, biashara yenyewe ilifungwa, wengine kapomolewa masupermarket hapa, na hiyo ni hasara ikadiriwa ya siku. Na sio tu Kisii peke yake, hata Kenya mzima. Hii imeonyesha ya kwamba hii serikali inafaa ichukue mwenendo tofauti ya kusuluhisha masuala ambayo yana affect wananchi.
Pengine jana hapo awali tumekuwa tukiona kwamba wananchi wanapigwa, lakini jana tumeweza kushuhudia kwamba baadhi ya maafisa polisi akiwemo OCS wa Kisii aliweza kupigwa mawe na waandamanaji. Swala leo unalizungumziaje wewe?
Hilo nasema ni ya kwamba enyewe wananchi sasa wamegadhabishwa, hawachali mambo ya risasi. Wameamua ya kwamba vile maisha imekuwa inasikuwa ngumu, hata kama ni kuuawa itabidi wauawe, sababu hawana namna. Mimi naona wananchi walikuwa tayari for anything, walikuwa hata kama kuuawa wauawe. Kwa hivyo ndio maana tuliona mkuu wa OCS alipokuja hapa roundabout ya na maafisa wake wa polisi alirushiwa mawe bila kuchali, na hao wakafanya vizuri wakaondoka badala ya kumwaga damu. Ninasema
pengine tuweze kupata wa mwisho aweze kuzungumza hapa akitueleza, je, wewe jana hali ya maandamano uliona vipi na pengine matarajio yako ni yapi? Yale malengo ambayo watu walikuwa wanaandamania jana unaona yaliweza kuafikianwa?
Jana maandamano jana watu waliumia, alafu jana unaona pale kono huko kuumia, hata magari kwa mtu akisafiri mtu anaumia, hata ukiwa mpole unakuja na familia na unachapua nani pale na pale hivi, unaona hii maisha imekuwa ngumu Kenya. Unaona saa hii tunahangaishwa sisi, unajua sasa kama sisi machensi bana hatuna amani, unaona
Naam, asante sana Arno Dida. As you have just heard, yesterday it was a push and pull whereby even officers here in Kisii were injured, forcing them to call for a backup even from Kisumu, whereby the deputy regional commander was forced to come with backup from Kisumu here in Kisii till 9 p.m. in order to ensure that no more looting will be continued here in Kisii. I don't have much to say, but just to pass the mantle back to you, Arno Dida, in studio.
Alfayo Combo for that update from Kisii. Let's come back to studio even as we wind up this conversation. And from a year ago, the media, we were accused of underreporting the Gen Z protest. And yesterday, even the efforts to just try and bring the public up to speed were being blocked. So what changed in, the state's strategy with this?
I don't know, but from where I stand, I saw the police were willing to be supportive in this commemoration. And I think they even gave guidelines in advance on how they expect demonstrators to come. But unfortunately, the chaos emerged again by opportunists who are not even part of the organizing. So for as long as we are having those challenges of having the people organizing demonstrations or certain ways of expressing themselves as per the provisions of the Constitution, doing their thing, and then there is interference, everything gets compromised like it happened yesterday. So the media is duty bound to report in a fair manner, like what I've seen in Kisii. But interestingly, you are even seeing the content of what that person is saying. The person was being interviewed. He's blaming the government instead of blaming the looters who invaded or who infiltrated the demonstrations. So that's a very wrong mindset that we must also interrogate. Like he's expected to be asked again. He was asked about the police officer being stoned, and he was just blabbering answers. So there's a certain narrative that the media also needs to, even when you interview someone in a scrutinizing manner, so that if he is giving an opinion that life is hard and a lot of businesses have been destroyed, a lot of property has been destroyed, you also interrogate, what about the demonstrators, the rogue demonstrators who interfered with other people's business? What is your opinion about it? As opposed to just throwing words that the government is making things difficult. We are seeing the looting is being done by those demonstrators, who, if beaten by the police or being intercepted by the police, becomes another human rights issue again. So there is need to be that kind of balance in terms of reporting and even interrogating whoever comes up with an opinion on something.
All right, Eric, what will your parting shot be in regards to media freedom and how it's handled in this country?
I think my parting shot would be that we have to respect media freedom and independence of the media, because the media exists to serve the common good of everybody in the society. We are not there to serve a specific section of the society, to project specific thinking of anybody in the society, but whatever it is in good for the society, that's what the media exists to do as a watchdog, as a gender-setting organization, and also to educate and inform the public. What I would want to say is that just the same way police have got the responsibility to maintain law and order, it's not the responsibility of the media to maintain law of order. Fwamba, like you are saying, that journalist's work is to inform you and educate you and also set the agenda for the nation. That's what we are supposed to do. I know the problem comes when we are expecting too much from the media, that the media should have done this. Yet that is not our role. We do our role very religiously and with professional touch to ensure that we serve everybody in the society. If there is anything wrong probably done by the media, I said the law provides the mechanism through which you can go and file a complaint, and action will be taken against a specific journalist or a specific media house. And let us respect the principle of self-regulation in the media. It works best for everybody, because right now you may be aggrieved, because right now if you look at those who win in government, in the run-up to 2022 elections, they were the other side. Right now they is in the government. So you may be aggrieved right now because it doesn't favor you. But look at the bigger picture. Is the media doing what you'll otherwise want the media to do? If you think they're not doing, please challenge us instead of taking those drastic actions like switching off the signals of television and radio stations.
All right, that is Eric Odwe, Secretary General, Kenya Union of Journalists, and of course, former governance analyst. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time for us to have this conversation on media freedom and how it's being affected in this day and age. Thank you so much for watching. Right about now, we are taking a very short break. When we come back, we're coming back with circuit training. You're watching Morning Cafe. My name is Anne Odida.